Have you got walk-on music
For this or for life?
for gigging predominantly? But if you have live walk-on music,
Oh, well, I've done 2 Edinburgh shows where I needed walk-on music. The first being 100 Songs in an Hour, where I had a song by a band called Vatina, who are Finnish, but the song predominantly appeared in an episode of Arthur. Remember Arthur, the cartoon?
yes, I remember
Remember the
Arthur the
episode
cartoon.
with the band Binky, and it goes oh wee 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 oh wee. Do you remember that?
Probably that's probably in there somewhere.
And I probably remember that, which I think means no, but you might if I played the actual thing. So I had that as my walk-on music for that. And then last year I did for 1 Billion Songs Please, I had the 80s. Oh my god, look at that gluggle joke. ADHD. I had
It's a
the
really nice gluggle.
If you don't know what that is, folks, that is James referencing the Great British Pottery Throwdown, where the man.
Well, it's just the Great Pottery Throwdown. You don't need to add the British part into it.
Is it? Is it not? Is it
It's
not?
not. It's
Is it
not.
not?
It's the least nationalistic of the craft competitions.
Wow, I didn't know. I like it even more. But basically, the main judge on that, all other shows have like Paul Hollywood, who is a bastard, and
Yeah.
and they're always just got bastards as judges, and then Pottery Throwdown just has a man that just starts crying over pottery.
Big
It's
Keith.
really sweet.
Keith is a giant man who cries, and that's part of why you watch it.
For 1 Billion Songs Please, I had the 80s and early 90s Really Wild Show theme tune.
Okay.
As I walked on, it was great.
Nice.
But yeah, no, Crying Keith and his pottery chums is the least egregious of the creative shows, I think. But yeah, it's quite fun. But he's just so emotional over pottery.
My favorite excuse for him crying was picking up a cup, going, "That's really good weight. That's a really good weight." Yeah. That's both cracking choices for walk-on music. Do you have walk-on music that you do for for normal gigs that aren't Edinburgh shows?
I haven't had specific ones. There's obviously like Release the Beast by Breakwater, aka Robot Rock by Daft Punk. Bam,
Nice.
bam. That's obviously good.
That's good.
Nubian Twist have a song that do do do. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But that's also good walk-on. Do you have walk-on music?
I've used the Pixies a couple of times.
Which one?
Debaser. Debaser has a good.
Ladies and gentlemen, and theys, welcome.
It's good.
Have you got a good non-binary version, the more inclusive version of Ladies and Gentlemen?
What I use for it at the moment is Folks.
I like Folks,
but I worry that it's occasionally I just feel like Obama. It's a very American Folks.
Yeah, I've got one. The thing is with Ladies and Gentlemen is it's not very inclusive, but it's been so used for such a long time that people are very good at being like, ladies and gentlemen, and it really brings a sense of occasion.
Yeah.
So I go with friends and enemies. So.
That's good. Lovely People is a good
people are trying to get people of the audience going, and it's just I get that it's inclusive, but it's so clunky.
It's a bit clunky, and it's also it doesn't sound very human.
Yes, this was it. It was always said by somebody who was trying to do the right thing rather than make it inclusive and fun.
And it just opens up too much of like, oh, people who identify as being in the audience, is it? I'm not invited to many functions, Sandra.
I do not have access to my kids. Shall we get started?
Let's crack off.
Is this enough? With James O'Donoghue and David Hoare.
We're on an elevator to hell going down. And welcome to Is This Enough? The excellent and brilliant game show that is both excellent and brilliant. My name is James O'Donoghue, and with me is David Hoare. This is the exciting game show that is both excellent and brilliant, and also excellent. We've come up with 3 rounds each. Neither of us knows what the other one has prepared. Along the way, we'll have some songs, sketches, and even a special guest. We actually won't. That is an old intro I wrote before retooling the show. David, that's why you don't do a cold read before hosting a show. Along the way, we'll just have some stuff. Fuck off. I've
got a special guest. Here's my dog that's just farted. Here we go.
Ah, hell yeah. We've got a special guest.
She was asleep, but she'd also just farted, so she has to wake up and be like,
"What's going on?
Hello,
that's
I just
fair.
farted. Okay. Oh."
And then here's a sketch for you. Oh, I can't find the eggs. You're sitting on them because you're a chicken. Yeah, are you happy now?
I'm always happy when I'm chatting to you, James.
Ah, come on now. There is all to play for this week because there's a prize for the winner and a forfeit for the loser. Last week, David won and was given AA batteries, whereas I lost and all AA batteries were removed from my flat.
How'd you get on with that?
I have one set of outdoor fairy lights that weren't turned on for a week, and it was fine. I'm a big mains guy. I'm a mains head over here. Plug that
Loving the mains.
Yeah.
What's your favourite course when you're eating dinner, James?
Oh, lithium. Oh, mains. Sorry, I was just thinking of sources of power. The prizes this week are very exciting. Because this week, if you win, you get 2 tickets to Chessington World Adventures.
Fuck yes! First theme park I ever went to. Lovely stuff.
Brilliant. Good stuff. If you lose, though, you get 2 tickets to Chessington World of Adjectives. Disappointing. It's just one of the adjectives you can learn all about at Chessington World of Adjectives. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show for once in our lives.
Round 1.
James O'Donoghue. Are you ready for round 1?
Yes.
Round 1 is called James O'Donoghue.
Excuse me. I'm just going to have a sip of water and think of that.
Let's just sip our water whilst James composes them.
What?
James O'Donoghue is an Irish Gaelic footballer who has his own Wikipedia page. And the first James O'Donoghue that appears when you Google James O'Donoghue. James O'Donoghue. How well do you know James O'Donoghue as we play James O'Donoghue? Are you aware of this, James? My dog seems concerned by you.
Yeah, I'm aware. All right, let's see what happens if you type in David Hoare.
Oh, I can tell you already. The former head of Ofsted.
You are the first result, by the way. You are the first result.
I am.
And then the pictures.
Is that just because you've Googled me? Is that your algorithm?
Might be, but then the pictures are the most Ofsted-looking people I've ever seen.
So for a long time, if you Google David Hoare, it would just have the main story as the former head of Ofsted, who was forced to resign as the head of Ofsted because he was caught publicly saying that the Isle of Wight was full of inbred people.
That is a hot take. That is a hot take.
Now, as previously discussed, I had a weird gig in the Isle of Wight, but I don't think it's because they were all related. So, James.
No, but David, that's unrelated.
James, are you aware of Gaelic football?
No.
Okay, it's
Well,
different to
right taste football.
it's different to Gaelic football, which stinks. James, I've got a bunch of questions for you about Gaelic footballer James O'Donoghue. You just have to answer them to the best of your knowledge. For each question you get right, you get 1 point. Right then. So, question number 1. James, which decade was James O'Donoghue, the Irish footballer, born?
I'm going to say in the early 90s. I'm going to say 1991.
I don't know the exact date, but correct, James. That's 1 point. Well done. You know your
USA.
O'Donoghue knowledge. Question number 2. True or false? Irish Gaelic footballer James O'Donoghue won the Sunday Game Player of the Year 2014.
True.
Correct. That's another point for you there. James O'Donoghue, you've got 2 points. You must feel wonderful.
These are one each. These are
yeah,
one
1
for
point
one.
each. Yeah.
Good.
James, how many times was Irish Gaelic footballer James O'Donoghue listed in the GAA GPA All-Star Awards?
Okay, so he's been going a while as old Jimmy boy. I'm going to say Star Awards as opposed to the Ulster Awards, which are a very different Gaelic award.
Wow.
Whoa, now. I am going to say, I just realised that my eyebrows have become invisible underneath the camera. I am going to say 6 times.
I'm sorry, James. It was only twice. Your James O'Donoghue knowledge is not as strong as we thought it was. Is that why people fill in their eyebrows a bit so that under certain lighting it can be seen more?
I think
Is this
it's
why we're
also,
discovering it?
I think it's also initially it's like if you do a lot of face makeup, then maybe it covers up a lot of the eyebrows, and then some people it's to give them a different shape. So some people like shave them right back or shave them to like quite small, and then it gives them a different shape, and that kind of changes the whole shape of your face.
Do you think, not to get off the James O'Donoghue questions, which we will definitely get back to, we saw a few years ago a very sort of feminine trait, female presenting trait, of shaving off your eyebrows and then drawing them back on again, which I initially was a bit like, why you're just getting rid of them and then drawing them again? But I came to not be so aggressive about it. Do you think we'll ever see that with mustaches? It's like perfectly socially acceptable to draw on your mustache.
No, I think what we will see is the return of the moustache tattoo on the finger.
I know so many people with them. Do you know why you don't know anybody with them anymore?
They all got them removed.
They all wear away. This is quite like a well-used.
Oh, really?
And yeah. So like loads of people got them, but like they just didn't keep.
I'm gonna get some slurs tattooed there.
What just?
Listen, I love
you. James O'Donoghue. Did James O'Donoghue, the Irish Gaelic footballer, attend the Royal Central School for Speech and Drama?
I can bloody tell you, yes, and he did a damn fine Hamlet. Damn fine.
Is your answer yes?
Yes.
Well, no. You did, you
Yeah,
idiot.
oh. It was a mirror. It was a mirror all along.
James O'Donoghue. Question number 5. Is James O'Donoghue, the Irish Gaelic footballer, an excellent and brilliant stand-up comedian with an arsenal of jokes and impressions?
Yeah. Sometimes we get booked on the same bill, or someone uses a photo from someone else.
For the listeners' purpose, that happened this week. I saw a poster advertising James O'Donoghue at a gig, and I was like, is there another James O'Donoghue? And then I
That's
looked at
not
it and
me.
it said,
That's
James O'Donoghue from the Is This Enough podcast. And I was like, is there another James O'Donoghue with an Is This Enough podcast? And no, they just got the wrong James O'Donoghue.
they had just found a picture of a random puckish young person.
Was that this James O'Donoghue that we're doing questions?
Probably not. He did not look like he'd played a day of rugby in all of his life. Or
Gaelic
Celtic
football.
Gaelic. I fucked that one up.
Yeah.
I fucked it right
You
up.
also got that wrong by being silly. James, question number 6. Is James O'Donoghue, the Irish Gaelic footballer, considered one of the greatest human beings by me, David Hoare?
No. In fact, I've
Correct.
heard you before shout, "I hate James O'Donoghue," and I've always assumed that you meant the Irish Gaelic footballer. And
Actually meant the guy whose photo they stole for your
this fucking guy.
And finally, James, question number 7. Does James O'Donoghue, the Irish Gaelic footballer, have a successful podcast? I'm trying to build this James O'Donoghue up, even though this James O'Donoghue isn't on like the top search for SEO for James O'Donoghue's on Google. I'm saying, yeah, James O'Donoghue might be a Gaelic footballer, but are they like a friend of mine who went to the Royal Speech and Drama School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and is my friend? Yeah,
David, I know that it says that I'm dyslexic on my thing here, but I can read the situation.
David, I'm
Good.
going to say that the other James O'Donoghue does not have a successful podcast.
I'm sorry, you're wrong. They do. It's called the Football Pod, which is outlandish. How have they got the Football Pod when it's Gaelic football and not football?
Was that podcasts? Podcasts have one called the Football One. No, we're not going to do anything with it, but we're just going to take the name.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that really weird? Anyway, at the end of that, James, you got 2 points out of 7. It's over to you.
Round 2.
David, round 2 is called Is That So?
Sorry, what? Sorry.
David is shut the fuck up. I'm trying to enjoy my train ride in peace, you bastards. David, as we all know, 30 years of privatisation has fucked the trains in this country sky high. But what's more, passengers are a bunch of wankers too. As someone who's dependent on public transport to get about for gigs and seeing people whose faces have faded into misty smudges in my mind's eye, I fucking love a good train ride. But not one journey passes without some sort of disruption, usually from the train line itself. But then, on the journey itself, I am reminded from the maxim of Jean-Paul Sartre, hell is other people's. And then I am reminded of the maxim of Jean-Paul Ringo George, help, I need somebody to shut the fuck up. Are these things I've contended with on long train journeys around the country, or have I made someone up in my head to get angry at them, as is my constitutional right as an Englishman? Do you like trains, David?
I really liked trains for a long time, and then they got too expensive, and so I've not ridden on them in a long time. And as a result, when I do, my tolerance for train bullshit is like superiorly low, extremely low. Superior. It's so low that I'm proud of it. I'm just the only time I really go on trains at the moment is when I go into that London. And so as soon as I'm on there, I'm like, oh, Jesus.
I've discovered that people just don't use headphones now. No headphones. Just have a lovely big old scroll. While scrolling is the noisiest it's ever been,
Yeah, well, this is the thing that I didn't realize, and that's what they were doing. Is it's not that they're listening to music without headphones, is they're
They're just having a
scrolling on
scroll.
TikTok. So you're not even like just hearing somebody's music you don't want to hear. All you're hearing
Yeah.
is yeah, sa,
Yeah.
da. Have you considered eating Huel?
This is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always, yeah. And as is the case with TikTok, it's the same 5 sounds over and over again. But yes, here are people who I may or may not have heard over a train journey. Number one, have you ever tried an olive before? You know, I don't think I have. Are those olives? Yes. Well, I don't think I've had one. Oh, I had one at Mindy's house. Mindy's house, marvelous. Yes. How is Mindy? Oh, she's dead. These are good olives, aren't they? Yes.
Was Mindy dead?
Mindy was dead. There's this much we know. They have found and compromised to a permanent end, Mindy.
Mindy. Yes, you've definitely, because you've told me about those olives people. The problem with this might be that we have a narrative on our WhatsApp messaging, which is organizing this, telling each other when we've died on a hole, and you telling me people you've heard about on the train. So I'm hoping for an 100% record, but yes, Olivegate definitely happened.
David, that is correct. You get yourself 2 points. 2 points. Back to basics, this one. Back to basics. Point inflation has been rampant and rife on this podcast. So now, Matt rife, in fact, because it's been unpleasant. Question 2. People just watching a compilation of clips of Boris Johnson being a right laugh.
Oh, yeah, probably. That was I think I'd done like the musical comedy awards years ago, and it was one of the ones where I got knocked out of the musical comedy awards.
But you got back up again.
Yeah, no, it didn't keep me down. But like I did that competition several years in a row, and so like when you did get through, you were elated, and when you didn't, you end up back on the coach, just like or the train back to Bristol from London, and we were just behind somebody who was just scrolling. This was like peak 2016, 2017, like looking at all the pro-Trump stuff. And it was like, how do you exist on this bus? So yes, I'm going with yes, because I've seen it in action.
Yes, David, that is correct. That was a couple of weeks ago. That was in the year our Lord 2024. So you get 2 points.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
They love him in Faversham. They love him in Faversham.
I was thinking about that. And I drank my squash wrong because I'm thinking about people enjoying Boris Johnson. Sorry, everybody. Fuck you, Boris. Startled my dog a bit.
Question 3. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
When you did that, my dog appeared. Sorry, everyone, you can't see Nala. Is that a? Well, no, I've got secondary questions. I don't think you're going to be able to answer for me.
Do it.
I was just going to say, is this a human doing this or a pigeon?
It would be a human.
Was it you? I'm
gonna
go with
perched atop the luggage rack. Then
I'm gonna go with no.
No, well, David, you're correct. Of course, that is not something that happened on a train. That happened in the Waterstones. There was an old woman who was so posh, she sounded like a pigeon. Question 4. Oh, someone's been scoffing too many sweeties.
Yes,
that is correct. That was some Scottish people coming back from a music festival that happened at Finsbury Park. And finally, Two dogs just having a fight.
Don't let my dog hear that. Yes.
Yes, David, correct. Again, Faversham. David, at the end of that round, you have 10 points. So, if you're feeling all highfalutin, it's over to you then.
Round 3.
James, round 3 is called "Look at My Dog Some More." Wah! No, that's a
Dog.
fake. In fact, this round is called "How Are You, James?"
David, I'm good. I'm good. I've had a few very busy weeks. It's been a couple of weeks since we last recorded because my time off was not off, and I've had 2 weeks of 5 gigs per week, working 40 to 50 hours on top of that. It's a long old couple of weeks.
That
And
is long.
also, in day job news, some insane, unpleasant people I've met. This has been a week in which part of my job involves being on a tour guide on a hop-on, hop-off tour bus around London. It was getting towards the end of the day, and we were going to terminate over at Victoria Station. We were down by Westminster Pier. An old Italian woman came on. Not very old, actually, but very Italian. Spoke no English. She got on, and I said, "I'm very sorry, madam. We are going to terminate at Victoria Station." And she said, I translated it on Google Translate for her. She then pointed at the map and just kept with her hand circling the whole route, going, "I want to do the whole route." I said, "I'm very sorry, we're terminating here, but you can swap over for another bus, and that'll be fine." And she kept pointing at me, pointing around the whole route. It's like, I don't know what you expect to happen here. And then she ran downstairs, started screaming at the driver. Now, this is someone driving a big double-decker bus through the crowded streets of London. That's not someone who you should scream at, particularly not while they are currently driving. Then she used Google Translate to tell me that she wanted a refund. I did not sell her the ticket, so I said, "That's fine. You can phone our customer service people." And she said, "No, I want it from you." And it's like, well, how's that going to work? Don't have your money on me. And then she said, "I'm calling the police." To which she then got off the bus, called the police, and we drove off and left her there on the phone to a very confused police officer who was being phoned. She called the police because we didn't take her to Leicester Square. Now, I'm not a big police head. I'm not the biggest fan of the police. But
or Sting's later work, to that matter.
Or yeah, I hope someone finds my message in a bottle. It says "shush." But what the fuck do you mean you're calling the police? Have you any idea how overstretched that service is? Particularly considering that they don't have to just deal with crime, they have to deal with mental health issues and missing persons cases and things like that. And what you're calling it because you misread a map? Are you fucking insane? Are you fucking insane? Are you crazy?
So the thing from this is that you could very easily be like, well, they're Italian and they didn't know what they were doing, and that's you're being mean by like not helping somebody who's not understanding stuff in a foreign country. However, I think to immediately leap to calling the police means that this person is making unhealthy mental decisions in Italy as well.
Well, it's like not getting a product and hearing this exact thing isn't exactly what you told. That's frustrating, and there are issues with that. But calling the fucking police because you couldn't see the lights at Piccadilly Circus.
That's the sort of joke that we might do or somebody might do where you're annoyed with somebody. Like if your friend didn't bring, you asked your friend to bring like a bottle of wine and they didn't, you're like, I'm calling the police. Like, how dare you? And yet they did it.
There's a lot of online content. There's a lot of people who make content which are like little sketches of stuff that's happened to them in customer service. And I feel like a lot of it is made up because there's a few people where it's like, this is what a customer said to me. It's like, this is the millionth thing you've uploaded. Yes, working in customer service is miserable because people have forgotten how to interact with customer service people. They just have. It's just a thing that doesn't work anymore as a way to make a living because people are, particularly older people, are fucking horrible to people in customer service.
Also, the people making that kind of content have found a thing that works for them, so they're like, "Well, this is what I do now."
Then they make it up, and then
you've got to zero in on everything and blow it out of proportion.
There's one. Okay, there's one that we're going off on a tangent. There's one content creator that I just find their stuff keeps coming up, and I just find it so weird that someone's made this. I find it so weird.
You can't see I'm mocking James is going, I've got one thing. This is angry James. Go, sorry.
But they found like, oh, I can do stuff about having a horrible mother-in-law and all of their stuff. And it's like, if it wasn't a woman doing it, it would be very like, my mother-in-law. I'm not saying she's, but the joke is like the mother-in-law is like a kind of really weird, overprotective kind of Trump-coded person. And it's like they started making all this stuff about like, oh, my mother-in-law, when she finds out that I'm pregnant, my mother-in-law, this. That it seemed to have evolved. It's got its own internal canon. There are side characters that you meet. One of them just appears to be like an elf. You know, there's like a joke in The Simpsons of like the next season when we run out of ideas and there's a fifth dimensional imp that only Homer can see. She appears to have made that. And it's like, we're fast forwarding to season 20 of a sitcom that should have been cancelled at season 3 already, are we?
There's two things going on here, James.
There's two things going
on. One, that person sounds like they're not making amazing content and it got weird. But two, you have ingested a lot of this content, James.
I've ingested a lot of content, David, because when it gets weird, when it gets bad and weird, that's when I get interested in.
Yeah, you have a morbid curiosity that I hope you slowly let go of as you enter your 30s.
No.
Your sake and mine.
No, I want all the we made one joke of this one thing and now it's 3 years later and we're on to part 270. More, please. More sketches by people who fundamentally don't understand how you make sketches. Yes, please. More jokes.
You've seen the guy that goes, I wish I knew this before I was in my 30s. And he did about like a couple of months of actual useful ones. And then you could see his eyes sort of like changed. And he was like, I wish I knew this before I was in my 30s. And then like really just like nonsensical, useless things where he's like, well, this is what I do now. And this is the only thing I can do. And people want to get into being a content creator. And then they're like, oh no, the thing I make is something I actually don't want to do for forever. But if I try anything else, people get angry at me. So I don't know I don't know what I've done. James, your eyes have gotten scary. You've got scary eyes, James.
I've got Betty Davis eyes. And they're spooky. I just the internet sets out to be a meritocracy and it isn't. But it is an amplifier for It's not that everything that TV producers have done is good, and they actually make a lot of stuff that's bad. But there is a certain filtering system that legacy media does that online media doesn't. But it's also something that comes from doing live comedy as well, and starting from the grassroots doing that, where audiences will tell you if it's funny or not. And if you're online, you don't have that. You just have. You don't have the. You only get carrot. You don't get stick. You get the carrot of we will reward this because we like this element of it, and therefore you just go down that and end up in a feedback loop. You don't get the stick of I did this joke about shitting in a bin and no one laughed because it was unpleasant. And it's fascinating, and it's getting weirder, and the bubble's gonna burst, and there'll be another thing, and then that will get weirder, and that's good.
Yeah,
Long may it rain.
I'm here for it. I also enjoy rabbit hole James when you've fallen down a rabbit hole because you do rabbit hole James taekwondo.
Oh yeah, no.
Tai Chi. Sorry, Tai Chi, where you just sort of right. Sorry for audio listeners, you can't see it.
Well,
it's the reason to watch the video is just to see James turn into rabbit hole James Tai Chi.
This was also an interesting element from the Italian woman screaming at me, because while I was doing my MA, I read this study
Martial
all
arts.
about. While I did my MA, I floored this guy. It's real goon. He was on the floor. I was like, "Yeah, bro." No, but when I was doing my MA, there was a study into hand gestures about the difference between Italian American hand gestures and Jewish American hand gestures. And the study was that Jewish hand gestures are a way to track thought, and Italian hand gestures are a way to express feeling and sense.
Makes sense.
And this woman was expressing all of her feelings and sense at me with the most the most incredible hand gestures I've ever seen, which did end up with her pointing at me and doing the rubbing finger money thing. And I was like, well, that's anti-Semitism, madam. It's just that she wanted money from me. It's like, but it did just seem like, you money grabbing long nose. It's always nice to see J.K. Rowling on the bus.
Listen to that global joke. Well, James, I'm sorry that you encountered some terrible people on the train and then later on the bus. I'm assuming your next round after this will be encountering terrible people on some kind of pedalo.
It's the solar shuttle in Hyde Park.
Are these things people have twatted me off about on a unicycle? I think you've handled yourself with grace, and I'm sorry that you had to deal with terrible people when you've gone down rabbit holes. And so for that, I'm giving you 1 point. Congratulations.
Come on now.
I think you've done really well there.
Very generous.
James, it's over to you for round 4.
Round 4.
Round 4. David, how are your days and nights? David, how are you?
Well, the other day I was on a Voy scooter, and no, I'm joking. Just trying to think of different vehicles.
There are some dickheads I've seen on trams.
I was on a speedboat the other day. No, James, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I have luckily had 2 days of rest because I had some busy times. We were supposed to record this last week, but as James said, quite a busy person. So we've been doing a bunch of stuff. I've put my Edinburgh Fringe show. I think by the time this episode comes out, it should be on sale. I had to get it in for the early bird deadline so that I didn't spend as much money. And I managed to do that. My show is called 1000% Musical Comedy from David Hoare.
Get
At
numbers
2:15
in.
at Edinburgh Little Theatre. Yeah, go get those numbers in. So please, Edinburgh Little Theatre, 2:15 for the whole run. Except
You're
for
not
like
returning
Tuesday in the middle.
not returning to the Hill Street kitchen.
No, that is the same. I'm at the Hill Street Theatre. Edinburgh Little Theatre is the company. Sorry.
Looks like you'll be having the Hill Street Blues once more.
That joke makes me think I should shout Hill Street boo at you, James.
Oh,
The Hill Street Theatre is absolutely wonderful.
let's get drunk before we can have some Hill Street booze.
Let's have a little nap. We'll have a Hill Street snooze. Okay.
This is great content.
And then shortly after that, I'd done a birthday. I'm 35 now, James. The more these numbers go up, the more hilarious I think it is. I remember thinking it must be wild to be anything over 21. And when I hit 22, I had a full-on, my first ever existential crisis. The first of many. Where...
Took him that long.
Yeah. And so now I've hit 35, which is quite interesting. I feel like each decade of my life, I hit the beginning of it and I'm like, this must mean I got to get on with the things and do the things. And then I hit about the 3 number, 23, 24, 33, 34. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm still young compared to all of these people older than me. That's fine. I was like, in 5 years, I'll be 40, James. And then I'll be like, oh, God. And then 2 years after that, I'll be 42. And I'm like, it's not that bad. And then I'll be 45 going like, it's in touching distance. And then I'll, 50? I'm 15 years away from being 50. There are comedians now that are joining the comedy community in Bristol. And they're like, hi, I'm 20. And I'm like, that's a dumb name. No, they're like, I'm 20. I'm 20. And I'm like, cool. Like, I'm nearly twice your age now. Isn't that weird? We're going to be in the same profession and I'm twice your age.
Yeah, as someone who's 29, there are people who I'm twice their age starting comedy, and I think, shut the fuck up, you 14-and-a-half-year-old. You're not allowed in this venue. Get out of here.
Get back on TikTok. So I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I am good. I'm quite happy being 35. Aging is a privilege. But it did mean I got to go to London. I got to hang out with my nieces, whose birthday is 2 days after me. And I took them to Hamleys, which was great. And I got to be Fun Uncle David, where I was walking down the road to Hamleys. Is it Regent Street?
That is indeed Regent Street.
With my nieces who, 6 and 10, started being like, wait, when are we going to Hamleys? Because we take them to the Science Museum and it ended up being a bit chaotic and they just wanted to go to Hamleys. And I had, I felt myself in like a fork in the road where I could either be like, let's just try and keep them at bay. They're probably going to get quite uppity until they're in there. Or I can wind them up like an uncle and have fun with them. So I just tried to drag them into every, because I was holding both their hands. It was very cute. I just tried to drag them into every shop on Regent Street, being like, oh, is this it? You wanted to go to Lacoste, right? Yeah. You wanted to go to Lacoste, right? You wanted to go to Boss? You need a new fragrance. And I like try and drag them in and they'd be like, no! Surprisingly strong children when you tell them you're taking them to a toy shop and then you drag them into a shoe shop. And then one of them had been before the older one and she was like, it's in the Hamleys. Hamleys has got red flags. And I was like, oh, I think you mean the Soviet Union. And she...
Hamleys does have some red flags. Red flags for the people who work there. Tell you what, there's some warning signs early on.
Yes. My niece doesn't respond well to being spoken to by people she doesn't know. And this woman appeared out of nowhere and went, is this your card? And my niece went, but
it was the death tarot card.
Jesus.
She said, no,
which just means change.
It means change.
and then
Means
she gave
change
her
your
50p.
ways or you'll die.
Don't particularly like this tarot reading for my niece. Shtick.
She preferred the 9 of Pentacles.
Is that real?
Probably.
Okay. We had a nice time and it was great. And I got them some Lego and I got me some Lego. I got a dragon. It was nice. And then I went and hung out with some of my friends, including this despicable creature right here.
Yes, it is I, David's niece.
There was a change. They didn't tell me they were non-binary. No. So I saw a bunch of my friends. It was very lovely. A bunch of my friends hadn't met James before, but had listened to the podcast. And James sort of arrived
I know.
later than everybody else because they'd been at work. And everybody was like, "Oh, hi." And I was like, "Oh, this is James." And they're like, "Hi." And I'm like, "Who I do the podcast with." And all of them went, "Oh." And then they were, yeah, and they were very excited to meet you. Oh yeah, was it weird? I want to know what it was like for you.
No, well, I'd had a bit of like Instagram contact with one of your friends previously. They're very lovely people, very interesting,
All
nice
right.
people, and it was always fun to slag off Huel and Alistair Campbell.
Yeah, I don't know how much we need to get into the fact that we mentioned the fact one of my friends there at one of their family funerals. One of their family had worked on Fleet Street in the 80s and 90s, and so knew Alistair Campbell. And so Alistair Campbell arrived at this person's funeral, which I was also at. Anyway, so yeah,
he kept throwing documents into the grave.
Let's keep it light. You know, so.
He kept saying the word leverage. Then he kept saying the word Leveson.
No, James. So that was nice. I had a nice birthday, and I'm fine with being 35. I then spent the rest of the week after that preparing to go do the Forge in Brighton, where I was doing a tryout spot.
They got his face right, at least.
Let's see if you can put together all the pieces of that story. Which was great because when I came back from Edinburgh, I'd been doing an hour of comedy every day for a month. And then the second gig I did back, I went to Manchester and I did a gong show. And it went terribly wrong because it was like, do 5 minutes. And I'm like, I'm funny. I've done an hour. I'm pretty good at comedy now. And then they were like, do 5 minutes, I just hadn't prepared at all.
5 minutes is terrifying.
And you got to be snappy, whereas I'm used to walking on and being like, hey, give a hand for George for like doing the announcements and, you know, just welcoming people slowly. Like pacing of an hour is completely different to get on and do the jokes. So I learned from that lesson and prepared for this 10 minutes that I had to do. And then had one of my favorite sets I've done in like forever. It was not in terms of I've had bad sets of late. I just had a great time. And I hope that you also have a good time at the Forge on the weekend, James. If we can allude to that now.
Yes. Yes. This will come out far
Uh-huh.
after I've been on it. In fact, the last episode that we released came out, I think, just after Christmas. Was recorded just after Christmas even.
Yeah, there's New Year's resolutions jokes, even though it came out in the beginning of March. I'm going to warn you now. I got stuck in the loo in the green room because it's like a weird sliding door. But It also turns out that Angela Barnes, a week beforehand, had taken that whole door off its frame. So just be careful with the door.
Just leave it half an hour after Barnsley.
Luckily, Jesus Christ. I'm so glad that I did that when it was in the break and I wasn't just stuck while somebody's like doing 20 minutes on stage and everybody else was out. I basically went for a wee and just was like, help! And they were like, and the first person who responded was James Ellis, who was doing it on tech, who was also a fantastic comedian. And he was like, right, gonna kick it.
I had I was doing a play and I needed to poo, and I could hear through like the PA system where we were in the script, and I had to run down so quickly I didn't have time to wipe, and that is showbiz.
I think at some point we should do a Patreon special that's just all of the like showbiz. I don't want to reveal all of the terrible sort of things that's happened to me within. I was about to be like, nothing like that's happened to me in showbiz. Oh no, wait, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I do always wipe though.
I think
Thank you.
we've both done gigs where we've needed a shit, and we've only realised that we needed a shit halfway through our sets.
So, my friend Finn is in the band Nubian Twist, as I mentioned on the intro music bit. And whenever I go see them live, just before like they're about to go on like 10, 15 minutes, they're doing the sound check. Everybody's kind of, when there's bigger bands, rather than them walking out, quite often they just like slowly start getting on stage and setting stuff up because they've got so much tech. And everyone will be like looking to get ready, and then he'll just disappear. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "PGP." I'm like, pre-gig poop, because he's just not like he clearly
It's got to be
way.
done. It's got to be done.
He's just sat down playing drums for like an hour. He can't be needed.
You don't want to be. There's one actor who I heard a story from. I won't name who they are because turns out they're a terrible person. But they shat themselves, and this only proved a problem when they were in a kick line.
No. I wasn't expecting this one to be a gross one.
No, but
so did Brighton. Oh, I forgot. I was going to tell you the thing. So you've been to Brighton, right?
David, have I been? Yes, a few times.
Yeah. So when I'm in Brighton, because it's so similar to Bristol, I basically walk around being like, I feel like I recognize everyone because the vibe is so similar between Brighton and Bristol. Would you agree?
Yes, it's the Shelbyville to Bristol Springfield.
Yeah. And there's like people walking around in elephant trousers, and like even the less kind of like hippie-ish folks are still kind of like liberal and all that sort of stuff. And so I arrived. There was a bit of traffic, which meant I basically had enough time to like get out of the car, run to the hotel, lob everything in, get changed for the show, run to the show, and do the sound check before they started letting people in. And in amongst all of that, whilst I was running around all these places, I was like, do I recognize that person? That person looks like somebody I recognize. None of these people I recognized. I then did the show, had a beer, came back to the hotel and knocked my stuff off. And I was like, it's like 10 o'clock at night. I need to have some dinner. And I was just stood out. I came back down at the hotel and was just looking around, trying to work out where I could get some food, just still thinking in my head, I feel like I recognize all these people. Like, that looks like that person, and that looks like that person, and that looks like Olga Koch. And then Olga Koch was like, David, how's it going? And it turns out they'd been doing their own show or somewhere else around. And I was so hungry, had driven all day, and was like not quite in the right headspace to be greeted by somebody, whilst also thinking I feel like I recognize everybody, but I don't. And then one of those people went, "Boo, it's me." That I probably came across as a massive weird, because I was just like, "Oh, hi, gigging, food. Are you just on your?" And she was rushing to her train, so she couldn't really stop and chat. And I was like, but yeah, very weird sort of self-fulfilling prophecy of like, I feel like I recognize everyone, and then one of them's like, "It is I."
It is you do recognize me.
Yeah, very odd.
I saw John Bolton, the defense secretary for both George W. Bush and Donald Trump, the other day, just out and about. And it's very distracting while you're trying to work to just in the corner of your eye go, "Oh, war crimes."
Yeah.
Oh,
That's how I felt at that funeral.
Well, David, at the end of those war crimes, I'm going to give you 3 points.
Fair enough. Well, thank you
for every key missing bit of information. So, David, it's over to you for round 5. Round 5, it's over to you, David, when you are ready. It's over to you, round 5.
Round 5.
David, it's over to you for round 5. David, round 5. That round 5, ladies and gentlemen, other people with David Hoare. David Hoare, round 5.
Round 5.
David, when you're ready,
Turn
please
James on
turn
and
to
off
round
again.
5.
Could somebody go turn James on and off again? Round 5. I'm on my way. I'm making it. Round 5. James, round 5 is called 1-star IMDb film reviews Oscar edition.
Yes, yes.
It's the
Round 5.
Why did you fuck my wife? Why did you fuck my wife? Why did you fuck my wife?
wow. We're giddy. James, what was the last thing I said to you before this recording started?
Pretty sure.
Let's keep it tight. What have we done? Talk about shitting on stage.
Why did you fuck my wife?
Round 5.
James round 5 is called 1-star IMDb film reviews Oscar edition. The day after I had written, the day before I had written this round was the day we were supposed to record, and it was the day after the Oscars. So it was going to be relevant. However, it wouldn't have even been relevant to the people listening anyway, because we've got a bit of a backlog for our mental health, our mental health, our lentil health. But James, I'm going to read you some 1-star IMDb user reviews. It's one of my favorite things to do. If you've never been on IMDb and looked up 1-star reviews of your favorite films, please do, because the only people that leave 1-star reviews are a specific type of person. So James, I've got 3 1-star IMDb user reviews here. Please just tell me which Oscar-winning Best Picture film this is a 1-star review of. So
David?
The Academy has said this is the best film of that year, and this person has said 1 star.
David, I will, and I'm very much looking forward to carrying on with round 5.
Round 5.
Question 1: Is this movie made by TikTok? By Tiba E Ulungu. That was the title of the review.
I thought that name was going to say Tickety Talk.
No. Okay, let's go. This movie got the ADHD. Nothing happens, but the scenes keep changing every 2 to 3 seconds with some very epic battle music in the background. Okay, I get it. It's a historical drama with some tweaks. So some tweaks has been made so we don't fall asleep in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Even so, where's the character building and the drama? The delivery is weak, and the movie is epileptic seizure-inducing, worthy of TikTok generation era. If you just change the angle of the same scene every 2 seconds, that doesn't mean you're making it more interesting. You're just making junk for the attention span of the teenage TikTok user. The rating of this movie is delusional. This movie is a 2 out of 5 stars tops for the effort and actors who did bring the shine to this garbage. James, which Oscar film, Best Picture winning film is that?
Oh, that guy sounds like a real Oscar the Grouch. Okay, so it's an Oscar-winning film. It's historical with some twists. I am going to say The Favourite.
Oh, James, this is for 1 point of question. You do not get that. That was Oppenheimer.
Ah. Battle music.
That film's got the ADHD. Question number 2. James, which Oscar-winning film is this? P.U. by Grammykins. What a stinker! I know that the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is a private club, and only members can vote for Oscars. We, the viewing public, buy our tickets and have our opinions. I have watched the Oscars show on TV since they first let us in on their big night. It is fun to watch the show and hope for our favorites, but it is not a People's Choice Award show. I have been disappointed many times and happy many times with the winners of the coveted prize, but never so disappointed and shocked at the winning of 11 Oscars for this film. 1 Oscar for special effects, maybe, but the other 10, ridiculous. The Blue Heart? Yikes. I can't understand how anyone other than girls between the ages of 10 and 12 could like this awful movie. Which film that won Best Picture is that? According to Grammykins.
That sounds like more of a review of the Oscars. Let's stop
No,
watching the Oscars.
It's a review of Grammykins,
A
by
review of-
Grammykins of this film.
The Blue Heart, is that a reference to a thing in the film?
It's about the only tangible link you've got, other than
Is it
going
Titanic?
10 and 12-year-olds. Correct, James. You get yourself 1 point. Well done. I'm so fucking proud of you, James. Finally,
I'm
this
just
last
dabbing
one,
over here just to stay relevant.
you got.
Also, I went to the gym earlier and my arms hurt.
I thought you'd just say you smelly your pits.
Oh,
Jim. James, question number 3. Which Best Picture Oscar-winning film is this? The most overrated movie in the history of film by Suspense 10,003.
10,003.
Yeah.
That's very suspenseful.
Was really just a disappointment overall. What was even more of a disappointment was the fact that it won the Academy Award for Best Picture. Was the Academy high on crack that year?
Whoa!
Aside from the spectacular battle scenes, everything else was reminiscent of Braveheart, which was significantly better than this. This film's plot was mediocre at best and was a true disappointment.
I'm gonna say Avatar.
What makes you think that?
Battle scenes, references to Braveheart. Avatar's a little Braveheart-esque. Yeah.
Okay, well, you don't get any points there because that was, of course, Gladiator.
Oh.
So, James, at the end of that round, you got 1 right. You got 1 point. Overall, you're on 4 points. James.
Round 5.
Why did you fuck my wife?
It's over.
Round 6.
We need to.
Round 6.
Oh dear, James.
David,
Yeah.
this next round is called. No, I'm not doing it. This next round is called Being an Impressionist is Hard. Shut the fuck up. It's 2 rounds I've presented today with shut the fuck up in the title. David, as someone who does impressions but has never yet done them on this podcast, and any guests we've previously had have been the real deal, I'm constantly listening to people to find the nuances of their voice. But sometimes it's fucking hard, so I don't. As such, I've missed out on some voices of well-known people and just occasionally wing it. So I'm going to do some impressions for you now, and you're going to guess who they are. The twist is I have no idea what they sound like in real life. Is this lazy on behalf of my craft? Go fuck yourself. Living is hard at the moment, and juggling full-time work and attempting to break into the art sector while it's being punched in the face by the government and in the balls by itself is a drain on my soul. The old world is dying. The new one struggles to be born, and now is the time of monsters. Monsters that stalk Europe. Monsters that sit on our backbenches and sneer down the television at us. These monsters are the cause of the rot that begins the infection that leads societies to barbarism. These monsters hide behind the eyes of every would-be despot, every dictator yearning for backs to be turned, every tyrant waiting for a blind eye. And these monsters demand to know which celebrities I'm doing bad impressions of.
I was going to say keep it light, but you did. Thank you.
David,
Yep.
Who's this an impression of? Button down, pinstripe, flannel.
Oh, is it Nirvana? Is it Kurt Cobain?
It's not Kirk and the Cobains.
Kurty Cobains.
It button down, pinstripe, flannel.
Button down pinstripe shirt.
Yes.
Flannel shirt?
Yes.
Button-down pinstriped flannel shirt.
Shirts. Someone's singing about shirts.
Is it Nicole Shirtslinger?
David, it is of course Nicole Scherzinger. Therefore, you get
What?
1 point. 1 point. The hardest point to get. The first point is the deepest, David. David, who's this an impression of? Look out, doggies! I'm a coming to town.
It's Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Look out, doggies! I'm coming to town.
It's not Dog the Bounty Hunter.
It's not
Is
Dog
it
the Bounty Hunter.
the Baha Men?
It's not the Baha Men, nor is it Oingo Boingo.
Oh. Was it Danny Elfman on his own?
It's not Danny Elfman on his own.
Look out, doggies! I'm coming to
Look out,
town.
doggies! I'm coming to town.
Is it Clint Eastwood?
No, David. It is all of Taylor Swift's exes, I assume. Prove me wrong, children. Prove me wrong.
One of them is Denise Welch's son. Imagine if Denise Welch had a son that was like, well, look out,
Look out,
doggies!
doggies! I'm coming to town. You're telling me that he's going to town without saying that? I highly doubt it. David, the next question. The next one here is to hold in my hand a capsule that contains such power to know that life and death on such a scale was my choice. To know that with the tiny pressure of my thumb, enough to break the glass would end everything. Yes, I would do it. That power would set me up above the gods, and through the Daleks I will have that power.
Well, I always guess Davros whenever you do anything, but I feel like it might. I feel like Davros is my version of on QI. They always give Alice Davis questions where the answer is blue whale. Is it Davros?
David, I'm afraid it's Bobby Davro.
Ah! My nemesis.
The oldest joke of all.
My nemesis Inferno.
Who's this an impression of, David? Football.
Is it Taylor Swift's current partner?
No, David, it's Arsene Wenger. David. David, finally. That one was a good one. And David, finally. I once performed with David Hoare. He was simply marvellous, and I want everyone to know that he taught me everything I know.
Oh, is it Bobby Davro?
No, David, it was Milton Jones. So at the end of that round, you've got yourself 1 point. You got actually 2 points. Well done. So, David, with all that said, it's back over to me for the results. But before the results, a word from our sponsors.
Round 5.
Jesus fucking Christ. Do you know, I held on to what Milton Jones said to me for so long because I was so excited to gig with him. And the compliment he paid me, he's a very nice man. But like, the compliment he paid me, he didn't even listen to my set because he was upstairs preparing. You could just hear like through the floor. He just went, that sounded like it went well. And I held on. I was like, Milton Jones thought I sounded like I had a good set. Hooray!
Yeah. Yeah. You do end up clinging on to that
People
kind of
just
stuff.
being quite nice, but you're like,
Yeah. Oh, that means that the stars have shone in a certain way. So, David, at the end of the show, you have an incredible score of 15, while I only have 4. So, meaning that at the end of the show, you are the winner, and you get 2 tickets to Chessington World of Adventures. Whereas I am stuck at Chessington World of Adjectives. So,
Fucking adjective.
David, let me tell you, I've heard it's really.
Fuck.
I don't know yet. I'm going to find out. So, David, this has been Is This Enough? You can find our socials at Is This Enough Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Please do email us at isthisenoughpodcasting@gmail.com. We really love your emails and we'll read them out if they make us laugh. Truth be told, we have so few, we'll read them out even if they make us cry. David, if you want to
now a good time to tell you that I got the best comment in the world on a video I did yesterday.
Yes, please, David. I want to hear this comment.
I think I already sent it to you, but I just think it's really funny. I did a video of me doing my song "Head and Shoulders," which I've
never used Head and Shoulders to clean my shoulders. It's one of it's classic Hoare.
It's a quintessential Hoare song that some comedians have said to me that they are annoyed that I wrote that and they didn't, which is like probably the highest compliment you can pay someone. And that's not me being like, look how fucking good I am. I'm just like, in my canon of jokes I've written, it's one I've kept around for far too long because I'm very happy with it and it works. I got a comment from a guy called Norman yesterday saying, the future of comedy? What the fuck is going on? People trying to cancel Roy Chubby Brown and shit like this is called comedy. The world has gone mad. Which I am fucking elated about because I've not had a comment that unhinged in a while. And he called me the future of comedy.
I mean, you are, in a way, you are the future of comedy.
So exciting.
There we
James, you can find me at David Hoare LOL on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And you can find James here.
I've been James O'Donoghue. You can find me at Is That James O on Insta and Let the James Begin on TikTok. So, thank you very much for listening. Let's now listen back to some of the highlights of the show.
Round 5.
This has been Is This Enough? David, was it enough?
I think it was too much.
Well, I'm full. Take care!
Round 5.
Why do